Other people don't laugh.
Yeah, we have Sudhir now.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are joining from. It's wonderful to see you. I am Dr. M. Giridhar Krishna, the second son of Dr. M. Krishnamurthi. At the outset, I would like to thank you all for joining this meeting to commemorate our father, Dr. Krishnamurthi. It is a privilege to stand here today to commemorate my father on what would have been his 101st birthday. To recall his life, he finished school in 1938 at the age of just 14 and went on to pursue his BSc and MSc in physics from Andhra University, later completing a PhD at Usmania University under the guidance of Professor Suri Bhagwantam in ultrasonics. His academic path took him further afield as a visiting scientist in Southampton and at Ohio State University, before he returned to India to hold faculty positions at Usmania University and at the Indian Institute of Science in Bangalore. From there, he moved into government service, first at DLRL in Hyderabad and later at the ARC in the Cabinet Secretariat in Delhi. He was a founding member of the AP Academy of Sciences. Alongside his scientific and professional work, in his younger days, he had also trained as a Carnatic vocalist and violinist, a bit of which you saw just now, and his love for music would remain with him throughout his life. At the age of 30, he married my mother, Lakshmi Devi, who is also there on the call, and together they brought up four of us: Gautam, Giri, that is myself, Gopi, and Gansham. In their later years, after his retirement, my parents also lovingly raised their granddaughter, Nandita, for 32 years. Nandita is also here on the call, and they gave her the same affection, guidance, and care that they had given us. He eventually retired from DRDO as CCRND, and his later years he devoted himself to social causes, serving as chairman of the MV Foundation for 2 decades until his passing in 2021. He lived a remarkable life, a scientist who played a critical role in India's intelligence services and DRDO, a social worker, and above all, a true nationalist and patriot. These words may feel overused in our times, but in his case, they were lived values, carried in quiet dignity and without compromise. As a scientist, he contributed to the nation's progress. In the intelligence services, he bore responsibilities that few of us can even imagine, and did so with courage and discretion. We still don't know half of what or most of what he did in the services, and maybe some of the people who speak today may bring that, say something about that. As a social worker, he extended himself to the community, never turning away from someone in need. And as a family man, he was a pillar, steadfast, loving, and fair. He cared for each of us equally, giving us time, affection, and guidance generously. His life was not about titles or recognition. It was about service, service to country, to community, and to family. That is why, even after his passing, his presence continues to guide us. Even the timing of his departure carried meaning. He left us on the 32nd birthday of my niece, Nandita, whom he and my mother had helped raise with deep love and care, almost as if, having seen one more milestone completed, he felt his work was done. He was and remains a tough act to follow, but perhaps the best way we can honor him is not to attempt to match him, but to carry forward his values of integrity, courage, service, and love. It is in this spirit that we have set up the Mamidipudi Lakshmi Devi Krishnamurthi Foundation, to, or MLK Foundation for short, to carry forward the legacy of our parents. Its focus is to preserve oral histories, foster culture life, and create spaces for dialogue. We have an advisory committee which includes Heramba Kadambi, Aladi Yogashri, Vidyanath Mamidipudi, Gopi Mamidipudi, Srilata Swami, Ranga Mamidipudi, Gansham Mamidipudi, Nihar, Gaurav, Raghav, and myself, Giridhar Krishna. Our first step is to publish the oral histories of the older generation, and we will soon be approaching some of you to record your oral history. But we have already begun with my father. Back in 2012, Gaurav and my aunt, Aladi Vagishwari, recorded my father's oral history. And we have about 7 hours of recording. And today we will just play a short trailer a 5-minute trailer for you to see, and anyone who is interested can always listen to the whole history, as it will be available on YouTube. Looking ahead, we also plan to host an annual concert by a young violinist and an annual memorial lecture by a distinguished speaker on a theme of common interest. We make a good beginning in this endeavor with Professor Sudhir's keynote address today. In this way, the values our parents live by will continue to inspire, to educate, and to bring people together for generations to come. Now, moving on to today's program, we will hear speeches from Dr. N. Raja and Dr. Raghavan, who are associated with my father in ARC, Dr. S.S. Murthy, who was associated with him in DRDO, and Professor Shanta Sinha and Mr. Venkat Reddy, who were associated with him in MVF. This will be followed by an introduction to our keynote speaker, Professor Sudhir, by my brother, Professor Ghanshyam Krishna. After the keynote address, we will play a short trailer of my father's oral history and also another short violin recital by him. We will close the meeting formally with a vote of thanks by Ghanshyam. However, that won't be really the end, because we will then throw the floor open to other colleagues and family members who may want to speak about our father. With that, let me play a recording of a speech by Dr. N. Raja, who has probably the longest professional association with my father, Dr. Krishnamurthi. Gaurav?
Good evening to all of you, celebrating Dr. M. Krishnamurthy's 101st birthday anniversary today. I am N. Raja, a student and his subordinate in Osmania University Science College, later in DRDO and Cabinet Secretariat, ARC, a total of 25 years approximately. In ARC, he sent me along with many assistants to US for training, for working under him till 1974. I would like to mention a couple of incidents during my association with Dr. Krishnamurthy. When we were in the United States, it so happened that we both tried to go for a haircut. And there outside, in those days in US, usually a Negro used to polish boots outside the salons. But Dr. Krishnamurthy did not want to get his shoes polished from a Negro, or what they call black now. So we searched for a place where we could get a fellow who was white and who polished. And he had his shoes polished there. After leaving ARC, I joined him again in 1978 to continue to work in DRDO itself. He was my guru, and Mrs. Krishnamurthy treated us as family members. We shared the same birthday, that is 3rd September. I am 91 now. We used to have informal competition on who gets to greet first. I visited him in February 2020 last. He was being looked after by his granddaughter, Nandita. He and his family enjoyed classical music. He was an adept in violin. When I was in Gwalior, after ARC tenure, they visited us a few times to attend the famous Tansin Mela held every December. And he used to sit there right from evening to morning 4 o'clock along with his family to listen to the music. Incidentally, this year the Mela also is completing 101 years. I am glad that his children and relatives are celebrating his 101st birthday, and I also wish to join in the same. Are celebrating his 101st birthday, and I also wish to join in the same.
Thank you. Thank you,
Sorry,
Dr. Raja.
thank you, Dr. Raja. We'll now have Dr. Raghavan speak.
Hello.
Yeah,
We-
You are able to get me?
yeah, of course. Yeah.
Good evening to everybody. Dr. Mammidipudi Krishnamurthi, Dr. K, as he was known, was the man in khadi whites, was a multifaceted, iconic personality. He was an eminent scientist, able administrator, mentor, and a friend, philosopher, and guide to many who were lucky to work with him. Dr. Krishnamurthi was deputed from the DRDO to ARC, a very hush-hush setup in mid-60s. He was given the task of establishing a number of technical, multidisciplinary technical monitoring stations in different parts of the country. These stations were supposed to collect intelligence. The places where these stations were to come up were in remote locations with inclement weather and in hospitable surroundings without creature comfort. There were a few high altitude stations as well. Dr. Krishnamurti had to deal with collaborators in completing this mega project. And Dr. Krishnamurti was able to do it very well. His many of this, he treated the collaborators with respect, but at the same time, by his diplomatic skills, he commanded respect as well. And Dr. Krishnamurti was responsible for laying the foundation of a friendly, fruitful partnership on terms of equality. And the good part of it is that Dr. Krishnamurti was able to lay the foundation for this partnership to continue for decades. It's a tribute to Dr. Krishnamurti that even today, a few of those systems are operational, though under new management. The supervision of all this work from Delhi and having these stations in far-flung areas was a difficult task. But Dr. Krishnamurti, because of his acumen in administration and also his meticulous planning, was able to bring together a very, very disparate group of people to motivatedly work to reach the common goal. And he had a kind of equanimity in handling different situations. He could he could diffuse tensions with humor, and because of his 3C skills in liaison, he was able to liaise with different agencies of the central government and the state governments and some public undertakings too. To begin with, Dr. Krishnamurthi had staff borrowed from the Intelligence Bureau and DRDO. The majority of his staff consisted of graduates and school pass-outs, and a few engineers and scientists leading the team in the field. Dr. K had the unique knack of spotting talent and nurturing it to find expression. Patiently, he knit a group of these disparate elements into formidable teams. Many considered ordinary were motivated to perform at peak levels. His teams were outperformed in mission accomplishment and were counted among the best in the country and also recognized internationally. This is ample testimony to the abilities of Dr. Krishnamurthi as an enabler. What were originally conceived as mere data collection stations very soon developed into national analysis centers. This was largely due to Dr. Krishnamurthi's guidance. The foundation laid by Dr. K was so strong that one feels happy, proud, and grateful to Dr. Krishnamurthi to hear that some of the systems are still operational. Dr. K's scientific stature helped ARC when the Dr. Atmaram Committee was formed to probe a missing nuclear generator in the Himalayan heights. Dr. K faced the committee, and at the end, Dr. Atmaram sent a glowing commendation for Dr. K. We who had the good fortune to know him and have been associated with him feel blessed that such a one walked into our life. But no recollection of Dr. K is complete without recalling a few instances of how he touched people's lives, people who worked with him. There was this case of a driver at a high altitude station. He had a running battle with the administration. His demand was for his portion of the rations to be given to him directly so that he could cook his meals. The administration was planning to dismiss him on grounds of insubordination. While on leave at headquarters, his fellow drivers suggested that he meet Dr. K. Dr. K listened to him very patiently and found that he had a justifiable ground. However, he resolved the issue by transferring him to his unit in ARC. That driver worked well until his retirement. Then there was this case of a stalwart officer from the Human Intelligence Wing, a well-built 6-footer, was suddenly taken ill and had lost a lot of weight. Many officers were only mouthing sympathies. But Dr. K talked to him and asked probing questions and realized that he needed a referral to INMAS in DRDO. He arranged for that. A proper diagnosis was made and the treatment given. He recovered fully. That officer and his family are ever grateful for Dr. Krishnamurthi. Now, many of the reports which were generated by these field stations under Dr. K were shared with higher echelons in government. In one particular case, the scientific advisor to Raksha Mantri, who was the recipient, while appreciating the report, expressed some doubts about its reliability. Dr. K's solution was to send him to the relevant field station. He came unaccompanied by anybody else. After his visit, he returned a very satisfied and appreciative man. What was revealed to the entire field station staff was the kind of confidence that Dr. K had in the team. And this is what motivated people. Then Dr. Krishnamurti shared with me two of these anecdotes. One was about his original proposal for housing for staff, which was to man the operations 24/7. The then director, who had very famously stated, "Our boys will live under trees and work," Dr. K told him that we were not running a one-night stand. He asked director very politely to forward the proposal. Once it was done, with patience and well-argued reasoning, he got the finance to approve the entire proposal. Once this was done, the director put a break. He wanted Dr. K to first get housing sanction for the air wing at an Eastern Air Base. Dr. K took that challenge and met it. Now, Dr. K was good at mending fences and building bridges. In 1974, when Buddha smiled, Dr. Ramana and his team took a little while to make sure that everything went well. When he finally called the Prime Minister, she seems to have said, "We know." Dr. Ramana was justifiably livid that his thunder was stolen by somebody else. And that somebody was Mr. Ramnath Kaur, who had been alerted by Dr. K. A few months later, the Prime Minister authorized interaction between ARC and BARC at higher echelons. It was then that Dr. K mended the fence and built bridges with BARC. And it's a matter of irony that it was Dr. Ramanna who was responsible in a way to have Dr. K repatriated to DRDO. ARC's loss was DRDO's gain. Many of us remember Dr. K more for the kindness he showed to us and the way he treated each, as Dr. Rakja mentioned, as members of his family. Welfare of his staff was foremost in his mind. And today, on this solemn occasion when we are meeting, I find that today is Hindi Day. So I would like to say, आज पूज्य डॉक्टर कृष्णमूर्ति जी की शताब्दी जयंती पर उनको हम प्रेम और आदर की भावना से श्रद्धांजलि अर्पित करते हैं। धन्यवाद।
Thank you very much, Dr. Raghavan. That was a very interesting and informative speech. Besides telling us how our father was, some of which we didn't know, So thank you very much for that, and for Dr. Raja also. So now we'll ask Dr. Murthy to speak. Dr. Murthy is there?
Dr. Murthy, are you?
He may be muted.
Yeah, it probably doesn't know how to.
Dr. S.S. Murthy ఉన్నారు కదా.
I'll call him and see if he can. Okay, can call. Giri, while we wait for him to fix his issues, can we move on to the next speaker?
Next speaker is Gansham, who will introduce Sudhir.
Oh, I see. Let's wait for a moment. Oh, I thought Shanta and Venkat Reddy are speaking.
Oh,
No.
yeah, Shanta and Venkat Reddy. Yeah, Shanta, can you go while you wait for Dr. Murthy?
Yeah, thank you very much to Giri, Gopi, Ganu, and I must first of all, I actually thank you for announcing MLK Foundation and its purpose is very much needed. It came as a surprise, and anything you need from any one of us, we are ready for being part of this very good idea of launching the MLK Foundation. I will be speaking on behalf of all my cousins in my generation, my colleagues in MVF, and will not take much of your time. It has been today a very nostalgic day, the whole day. I mean, we were constantly thinking about Chitappa, Chitti, Nandita, all of you, and with fun, with heavy heart, with everything. And I'd like to put together some of my thoughts. I don't want to take much of your time. I would like to talk to you about him as an uncle, as a colleague for 20 years. I think the longest colleague I've ever had, in Krishnamurthi in MVF, as a mentor. And I'm glad that Raghavan Garu has told us about what we did not know about him in the CCR&D. He was for us a James Bond uncle who went to high altitudes in the Secret Service, and that we knew he had a fierce sense of duty. He was a true patriot, but never revealed or boasted or showed off. He never told us what he did. And there is so much. I mean, what Raghavan Garu just told us is just a tip of the iceberg. And but the warmth that he talked about, Chitappa, I think was continuous even in every foundation. The warmth for the last person, the warmth for the staff, and the program. Now, as an uncle, I think it's so important that you started with his music, and how fond he was. And more than that, also the technology that he introduced to the family, the movie camera, the screen, the photo, these are some things that were new, the tape recorder, all that I think came through Chitappa into our families and into our homes. Then just rambling, I still remember him doing a lot of work in the house, collecting water, washing clothes, cleaning utensils, getting into the sump for repair, lifting things. And I wondered where he got all this physical strength from. Sometimes I think it is because he chewed rice and his food for 40 minutes. And that made him kind of give the strength that we should all eat the way he ate, carefully respecting every morsel of food that went into him. Then, more importantly, I think for all of us who are his daughters, he was very, very special to each one of us. He had a special relationship with Each one of us has a story to tell about how he cared for us and how he made us feel so good. And in fact, I don't want to go much on it, but I can tell you that we felt uh, so wanted, and we could take the kind of liberties with him which I think I would not have taken with our own parents also. I'll come to that later. About his work in MVF, as I told you, he was my colleague for 20 years. He added dignity to MV Foundation. He came every day with clockwise precision, and as Raghavan Garu mentioned, in the white shirt and the white pants. And we were so proud of him, especially when top donors, visitors who came, we showed off our chairperson, saying that we are not any NGO, we are not ordinary NGO. We have a person of cabinet rank who sits every day in our office and who gives us a sense of security and at the same time freedom. What he taught us was work ethics by his own example. I think Venkat will talk about the strong support to staff and the program, but personally he encouraged me to the hilt to go to high places. And in fact, he told me never to be intimidated by anybody in power and authority. What we seek as truth was what we seek as honest work. We should be having the courage to talk to anyone about it and cannot shy away from taking your stand. That came up very clearly whenever I went anywhere, that I had to stand firm. And he, in fact, was a conscience keeper where he did never allowed us to compromise on basic principles, in fact, principles regarding children's rights and education. He made us say that children have to be in school. There was no compromise about it, and he was ideologically in one with us. And he said, wherever you go, you cannot compromise on the rights of children or rights of on human rights or values that are profound to maintain democracy. I mean, his care for democracy was pure, and his care for the freedom movement, the nationalist movement, how much it was fought to see that India was free, democratic, inclusive, secular, and these kinds of values, which was deeply ingrained in MVF's work, and he stood for all of them. And what was important was that while he was there, as I like to repeat, there was a feeling of comfort that he is there. And I must tell you, even today in his room, we are not, it is such a memorable small management chairperson's room. You know what it is? It's like some 8 by 10 room. But we respect it so much that we seldom even are able to use it because it's such strong presence of Uncle Krishnamurti in that room. In a way, I will not go deeper into it, but I must tell you about the care he had for staff. And he had, in his own way, bended many rules, even in MVF, to take care of some of the most needy of staff. And here, Gopi and the brothers also help with generating funds for scholarships and fees for our staff members. And I think it is important to talk about how great a host he was in Delhi for, again, our generation, for those who came there to study in his house, how Lakshmi Chitti took care of him, how they took care of those who were seeking employment in Delhi. And I also feel that he was somewhat different from his other siblings. I'm not able to pinpoint, but I'll try to explain what I mean by it without trivializing. We have all our Chittapas who spoke fun, who had humor, who laughed loudly, who were kind of, what does it say, kind of personalities who were very, very kind of celebratory type. Krishnamurti had all this, but he maintained some kind of a dignity. He had humor, he had fun, but he never did loose talk, I feel. He was very careful on when he was talking, and he was that way different. But all of them, all the siblings were generous, they were disciplined, they were warm, they were affectionate, but each one had his own way of expressing these very core values, the family values, about which each one of us have grown up. And Krishnamurti Chittappa also had this core values which we all imbibed. And I think that is very, very important. His tolerance was unmatchable. We had, as Usha would say, shouting matches with him. We could get into an argument with him till the sky fell down, and we differed so much with him, so much. You wouldn't believe. On every issue, there was debate, there was discussion, and people around would think that we might even start physically boxing each other. That is the kind of debate and discussion we had on many issues concerning Indian politics, global politics, and everything. But at no time he had sort of exercised his authority and forced us to think the way he did. He respected our views, he respected our values, and at the end of it, we remained mutual respect. We could not maybe have convinced him, he could not maybe have convinced us, but he gave us one important lesson in our life, that you should agree to disagree. And that kind of a value where you can debate, you can discuss, and without forcing that I am an elder, you have to listen to me. That he had never brought out when we were talking to him. And I think it's a very fine value that he has, because he never went personal. He never went uh, or even bitter. He only came across as being more correct always than all of us. And I think he was more correct. He was more principled. And he took very strong stand on many issues. In a way, I think Krishna Chittappa carried an atmosphere wherever he went. It was difficult not to feel his presence when there were about 30 of us. It has to be, the focus had to be Krishnamurti Chittappa. That kind of a presence is very, very rare. And I'm so glad. I can say a lot. I'm just getting carried away. But thank you so much for giving me the opportunity. And I must say that I cherish every moment that I've had with him and as a colleague in MV Foundation. I do not know what MV Foundation's profile would have been if he was not there sitting every day and telling us in his own fashion what is right and what is wrong. Thank you.
Thank you, Shanta. That was very nice of you. Really happy you were able to come and talk. So now, last Mr. Venkat Reddy.
Thank you very much. Actually, Krishnamurti సారు 101 జన్మదినం సందర్భంగా నన్ను పిలిచినందుకు నేను తెలుగులో కంఫర్టబుల్ ఉంటాను. ఓకేనా సార్? I'm really happy to be with this group, and I'm honored. Actually, సార్తో పనిచేయడం అంటే ఇట్స్ ఏ నాన్ హైరార్కీ. ఏ మాత్రం కూడా గ్రాస్ రూట్ లెవెల్ వర్కర్స్గా మాకు ఏ మాత్రం కూడా ఎప్పుడు కూడా పెద్ద చిన్న లేకుండా చూసిన వ్యక్తి కృష్ణమూర్తి సార్. ఇంతకుముందు మేడం చెప్పినట్టు మాకు ఇంకా కృష్ణమూర్తి సార్ రూమ్ ఉంది. మీకు ఉందో లేదో తెలియదు, కానీ మాకు వీ హ్యావ్ దట్ కృష్ణమూర్తి సార్ రూమ్. కృష్ణమూర్తి సార్ రూమ్లోకి వెళ్తున్నాము అని చెప్తుంటాం రోజు అందులోకి వెళ్ళినప్పుడు. సో అండ్ వన్ థింగ్ వెరీ ఇంపార్టెంట్, దట్ స్టాఫ్ పనిని చాలా రికగ్నైజ్ చేసేది. గ్రాస్ రూట్ లెవెల్ వర్కర్ నుంచి మొదలైతే అందరితోని చాలా అనుబంధంగా ఉండేది. ఆ కష్టము ఆ దుఃఖము తెలిసినవాడు కాబట్టి వాళ్ళతో మాట్లాడుతున్నప్పుడు కానీ వాళ్ళ గురించి ఆలోచించాలి. స్టాఫ్ ఫండింగ్ ఏం సంగతి, స్టాఫ్ ప్రొవిడెంట్ ఫండింగ్. అండ్ హీ డెవలప్డ్ దట్ we have now a staff fund. Actually, we would not having that fund before he comes to the MV Foundation. He insisted that staff should have a provident fund, and he was very keen that we should not depend on foreign funding. How do you get funds from state governments, our governments? So we were very cynical sometimes. No, our government won't give. Our government is not, it's a corrupt government. It's not worth, persuading the funds. So one day he left with our papers, all our MBF papers, and went to Kadiyam Srihari. He was a minister actually. we were shocked. He came back and told us that morning I went to Kadiyam Sri and came back. And he was pursuing that why not this good work and government should give that funding. Actually, he also raised funds for our staff children. Or many of us don't know that how he has mobilized that funds for education only, staff education. Now every staff member requests us, Krishnamurthi sir fund unda sir ani. Krishnamurthi sir fund ledu manaku ippudu. We have no funds for that purpose, but especially we don't know how sir mobilized that whole funding was very innovatively he spent on. He was assessing every staff member, driver, children, or staff member children who are not able to afford their school education. I think he instituted some committees in our MB Foundation, as Shantaji said, finance committee. As outsider, we were shocked to see the debate and discussions where somewhere a board meeting is going on and they're all relatives, and why they are doing this, they can easily compromise, but they stood for their point of view. And we are very happy, lucky that these institutional mechanisms took a lot of decisions which we were struggling hard. He helped us to thrash out those problems for us. I think he was addressed in our international conferences, nearly 40 countries around the globe. We organized with his support, and he never said, why are you organizing? You are a grassroots level NGO. What is this? Why are you organizing this internationally? He supported us and he addressed the conference. 2 conferences he addressed, big conferences. One is global conference where 2 chief ministers were there in our MB Foundation program. And another conference is in 2012, where all the alumni of children who passed out of our bridge courses, they came and they narrated their stories. And that was a huge program where he was also part of the celebrations. We all celebrated with him, and we never felt he's our some top. But I'm glad that today Rajendra Raghavanji told us it's a very, I was shocked that we worked with him as a simple, normal person, which guided us to spearheaded this program. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Venkat Reddy.
Thank you, sir.
Is Dr. Murthy there? No.
I don't see him logged in right now.
No, he's there, I think.
Oh, there he is. Yeah, he can speak now. He's not muted.
Yeah, Dr. Murthy, can you?
Let me call him.
Hey, Sudhir, I hope it's not getting late for you.
Not a
Can you
problem.
speak now?
Sure. Me?
No. Sorry, I'm talking to the other guy. I don't know. He has some problem. So should I read out his message then?
Yeah, read out his message. Yeah. I forgot we have his message. Yeah.
But he can't be unmuted remotely.
No, I cannot.
he is
And
unmuted.
I think as Mukunda says, he's probably not even joined audio.
Oh, okay. Okay, then
So
I'll
go
read
ahead.
out. I'll read
Yeah.
out his. So I'm reading out Dr. Murthy message. Professor Ghanshyam, Krishna, and other participants of this Zoom get-together. I am very happy and feel honored on being asked to talk on my association with Dr. Krishnamurthi on the occasion of his 101st birth anniversary. It was my good luck to get to work with a great person, a great manager, and a great human being like Dr. Krishnamurthi. Although my official association with him was only about 5 years in DRDO, working with him made a lasting positive impact on my official and personal dealings. I was the director of DECIDOC, one of the DRDO labs, and he was the chief controller in the DRDO headquarters. I was reporting to him. Even after my retirement and settling down in Hyderabad, I used to meet him sometimes. I can confidently say he was the best of all bosses I had in my official career. He was positive in his thinking, benevolent, rational, and honest in all his dealings. As Chief Controller at DRDO headquarters, he was coordinating and guiding the R&D activities of the DRDO labs of electronics and engineering lab clusters. Because of his technical competency, honesty, and rationality in dealings, he was given the additional responsibility of coordinating the activities of the Directorates of Civil Works, Budget, Finance, and Human Resources in the DRDO headquarters. Thus, he was very powerful in DRDO after the chief of DRDO. But he never misused his powers. He was always rational in his decisions. If a good proposal came to him from a DRDO lab, he would not only support it for final approval, but also talk to the other concerned officials if necessary and see the proposal was finally sanctioned. Also, if a proposal was not good, he would reject it at his level, recording the reasons for rejection. If the proposal needed modification for meriting approval, he would suggest required modifications. And if the modified proposal came back, he would see it, make sure it got final approval. Such approach is very uncommon among top bosses. Even in personal department matters, he would take rational decisions in matters of selection, promotion, etc. An example of his honesty, once when he returned from an official tour, he found new carpet, new sofas, etc. in his room. He immediately asked the then director of civil works who had got it done, since he had not asked for it. When the director said he got it done, he asked him not to do such things again. Another important matter I would like to mention is when I joined DRDO as director of DECIDOC, I found most of the officers or other staff were not qualified for the jobs they were doing. Many of them were those who had managed to get transferred to DECIDOC from other faraway labs because they wanted to be in Delhi. So I made a proposal for creation of some additional posts so that I could get right staff recruited and get the activities run on model lines. Creation of posts required Union Cabinet's approval. My proposal was supported by Dr. Krishnamurthi and Dr. Arunachalam, who was then the scientific advisor at DRDO, but it was rejected by the FADS on the ground of existing ban on creation of posts. Then Dr. Krishnamurthi took me to FADS and convinced him on the requirement. He then accepted the proposal and sent it further up for cabinet approval. After the cabinet approval came, I got right people selected to the new post through UPSC. New activities were started and reputation of DECIDOC greatly enhanced further as a national center for defense-related S&T information. Either myself or my other officers were invited to be members of advisory committees of almost all national level S&T information systems. Also, such high reputation got me 10 years reappointment in different government organizations after my retirement from DRDO. Thus, I owe to Dr. Krishnamurthi my reputation as a well-known information manager. I cannot forget his help to me. I wish his soul to be very, very happy forever, wherever he is. Thank you for your attention. End of message.
Thank you, Dr. Murthy. So Ghanshyam, now you can take over.
Okay. So it is a great pleasure to introduce Professor Sudhir Venkatesh. Sudhir Venkatesh is the son of Aladi and Uma Venkatesh. He received his MA Mathematics degree from the University of California, San Diego, and PhD in sociology from University of Chicago. He was elected a junior fellow in the Society of Fellows, Harvard University during 1996-1999. Sudhir Venkatesh is currently a professor in the Department of Sociology at Columbia University, where he has served from 1999 until the present. His academic work focuses on the experiences of families living in poverty and facing violence in their communities. He has taken leave from the university to help organizations with safety challenges. At the FBI, he worked on Director Robert Mueller's team to create more advanced use of data for safeguarding children and families. And at Facebook, he was one of the global child product safety leaders from 2015 to 2018. He's on the safety advisory board of Snapchat and other social platforms. He lives in New York with his wife and 2 children. He hopes one day to be a better golfer, though time is running out, he says. So I now invite Professor Sudhir to deliver his keynote address. And
Thank you, Ganan, and thank you, everyone. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Thank you for inviting me to be part of this very special gathering. You have to be very careful when you give a professor some time to speak, so I'm good. I have a little timer here, so that's going to stop me. I'm very glad to have this chance to celebrate Dr. Krishnamurthi's life, a scientist, teacher, servant of the public, someone who has done so much, and we have a chance also to celebrate the foundation. And that really is what I want to just talk about today, the intersection of philanthropy and why it is so important, even when we think about technology. And that's the background. And for the past 30 years, I've been working on, in some way, with philanthropists studying inequality, and the last decade or so has been in the technology firms themselves. And the biggest lesson, the biggest theme, and why I was so excited to hear of the foundation's work and this campaign and coming up, and is that child safety has never been the responsibility of government alone, and families and communities have played such an important role. And online child safety cannot be the responsibility of the tech companies alone, especially in the AI generation, which I will talk about. And this is where I think the foundation's work becomes so critical, because even on a global stage, if the tech companies will get all the attention, I think we know that it's the passion of Dr. Krishnamurthi and his family and all of you here that is so critical. If you look back around at the history, this is very easy to see. Philanthropy was critical in helping eliminate child labor in factories, helped fund vaccine development, expanding school, child protection laws, etc., opening doors for education for girls and women. So when we talk about child safety, we're also talking about the future of philanthropy. And that's really the underlying theme. Just a good place to start is just how digital technology is just changing so much of the experience of children and family life. I learned this when my earliest lesson came in 2016 when I was managing a team in Hyderabad, an engineering and machine learning and safety team. And we were seeing in events in India, as well as other parts of the world, that forced us to rethink child and family safety. For example, in America, where my corporate office was where I worked at Facebook, our founder and many of us naively believed that just simply posting all of our photos online was generally an act of celebration. It would be a wonderful thing. It would help people connect with each other around the world. After all, that's how our founder, Mr. Zuckerberg, started the company. But around the world, we were hearing very different kinds of reactions. That there are very different norms, very different morals and understandings of what photo sharing can mean. It wasn't just self-expression. And it was really in India where the philanthropists and activists alerted us to the experiences of women in rural and urban areas and said, you know, you need to work with us to develop safety tools. We're the ones who have to keep families safe when they are sharing and going public with lots of their information. And that is an example why philanthropy is so important, why it helps some of the technology companies rethink their approaches to safety. And we know this is critical because we know the entire technology sector and technology is constantly changing children and youth's lives every day. Screens and networks now shape their lives as much as playgrounds and schools and neighborhoods once did. And this constant creativity creates a lot of pressure, right? For children, especially my children, the line between online life and real life has almost disappeared. Whether it's in their school, they don't carry books anymore, they just have a single computer, or at home, they don't write as much as they did. Everything is done on the computer. For parents, that means the daily experience of raising a child now includes dilemmas that didn't really exist before, and that have a lot of safety complications. Do I share pictures of my child on social media and risk their privacy, or keep them offline and they'll be very isolated from others as a result? Or do I let my child explore the internet for new opportunities, or do I hold them back for possible exposure to harm? So the very idea of child safety has moved away from the physical dangers, keeping kids away from child labor, etc., which are all so important. And now it includes what they have, what happens to them online, the bullying, the harassment, the sharing of private information. And some of the key questions that I know that the MLK Foundation will face are those that are being faced by others right now. But the challenge really is that it isn't always clear what the problem is, and it makes it very hard to know how a philanthropy or a government or parents or tech companies should respond. For example, just think about when you think of online harassment or people not being very nice to each other, is that a platform issue? Is that the responsibility of the tech companies, or is it a community education issue? Should philanthropy, then a foundation, focus on strengthening the children themselves and helping them to build confidence, increase their voice, become more literate? Or should they demand accountability from the tech companies? Is the ultimate goal to reduce the incidents or shift the culture of the children when they go online so they don't get themselves in trouble as much? In each of these kinds of dilemmas, you could make a strong case that the answer is not either or, but it is both. It is yes, we have to do everything. And that's almost always the answer when we have difficult social issues, is we have to do everything. But the challenge, of course, is that resources are limited. Time is short, and more often than not, we find ourselves in a difficult position of having to choose one over another. And that's why how we think about the problem, what goals we set, and how philanthropy plays a role in bringing so many different people together is critical. And as you all know, and I found out in my team's work, many of the children today, their internet experience is not a laptop, it's a low-cost smartphone, which again makes things very complicated because they're immediately vulnerable and open to the world from their very initial experiences, often not being taught. There's often glimmers of hope. For example, one of the things I'm working on now is that developing with AI a mechanism by which the machine, the phone, can recognize that a child is using it and immediately introduce a chatbot, a robot, that recognizes that a child is using it and that starts to build a relationship and starts to change the use of the phone automatically, alert the parents, etc. So these are the sorts of things where technology can have a very important effect, but it is often done because somebody in the philanthropic sector or somebody on the ground in Africa, in India, in the US says to us, hey, this is something you need to understand. Children are using their parents' cell phone and they're getting themselves into very difficult situations. If we don't hear that in the tech companies, we don't have a chance to speak, hence why philanthropy is so important. There are also just many stories of resilience that are important and why, again, foundations are so key, like this one here, the MLK Foundation. And again, in an early example, our team was so inspired in Hyderabad and in the rural parts of the US where local mothers were attending digital literacy camps run by community groups. And within a year, a short period of time, all of the online exploitation issues that we were worried about, children feeling nervous online or anxious, they started to lower. Not because of new technology, the technology was the same, only because the families felt themselves more empowered, more educated, etc. So I can go on, with these kinds of examples where child safety isn't just about building better tools or better laws, it's about creating different conversations. Maybe the thing I would point to as we look forward is just what's happening with the AI revolution, because I think that's where a lot of the most interesting work is being done. I mentioned one example where a device is now able to recognize who is using it and can adjust some of the feedback that it gives to the user as well as the user's parents. But AI has started to become more important because it changes all of our basic assumptions about safety. It changes what safety means. We have to act much quicker because people can do a lot more. It changes who can act. Platforms, governments, parents, children themselves, they all have to start playing a powerful role in this. And it changes where prevention can happen, not only in terms of after harm, but well before it begins. What could we do at the first moment that child picks up a phone? What is it that we would want that child to be able to know? What is it that we would want the family to know? As I mentioned in the example of an AI chatbot talking to a young child, we're continuing to learn that humans will inevitably treat robots and phones like other humans, or at least as though they are animate living things. They become their therapist, they become their tutor, they become their friend, they become someone they ask for advice about. And this is where AI is doing much more than a search engine, is that people feel so strongly that they have a relationship with it, with certain risks, because not everyone knows what to do with these fast-paced developments. And this is where philanthropy comes in, and where foundations like the MLK Foundation are so critical, because they serve as a bridge of building relationships and creating the conversation with people who sometimes are isolated into their own world. In my little AI corner in New York or California, building a tool, I'm very far away from the rural communities or other parts of the US or other parts of India, etc. So I need to know, my team needs to know what's happening. And I'll just give you a last and final example as just to illustrate this. This involves the United Nations that we worked with and local police in some rural areas on a child safety issue. Initially, when the generative AI and all the tools that we love were starting to come into focus, the assumption was that these tools were very expensive, they were cutting edge, they were only available to very wealthy governments and people or the companies, and so that we didn't want to bother the police, or we didn't want to bother local agencies that were helping people, because we just presumed they lacked the capacity to use them well, detect problems, to make sure that the tools are working with them. That was a big assumption on our part when AI came in, a big assumption of the technology firms. And we were proven wrong. We were told by philanthropies, especially family foundations like the MLK Foundation, they reached out to us, they reached out to the United Nations local agencies and said, come sit at the table. Let's create a different conversation, because we need to change your view of these powerful tools. So they brought people who often didn't speak to one another. A local school teacher, a head of a tech company, some local team, parents, police officers, and security officials. And they started to imagine AI being used in different ways. Very local, just 5 or 6 or 7 people in an informal meeting. And slowly that information about that different kinds of use was what filtered back up and helped instruct us and in the tech companies, and it helped challenge us. And we started to just make sure that everyone had the same information, because if you don't know what's happening, you can't act. So something today that you might hear about, or you can easily see online, like at the UN's AI for Safer Children Global Hub, which centralizes all this information. Online, it looks like a very fancy thing. It looks like a very important thing, and it is, but it begins because a family foundation, a group of people at a very local level said, we are seeing something and we need to alert others. And so the conversations that you all are having now are so critical for making the kind of change and the kind of impact for the next generation The point being that sometimes even with the most powerful tools, we don't all see the problem in the same way, and we need someone to bring us together. And so really in kind of closing, I see this foundation and get very excited about what everyone is doing here as that kind of bridge builder, as a group of people that can understand the power of technology in the context of the real world needs, and that can move well in so many different worlds, so that when we talk about child safety, we're not just talking about protection from harm or just the responsibility of the tech company. We're talking about building a life for children, just as the Foundation's mission says, that enables them to be creative, that enables them to have a full, rich life and families, and to do so without fear. And this, in my view and understanding today, was the spirit of Dr. Krishnamurthi's life, in moving so ably and nimbly between science and creativity and music and service and community. And I think his legacy reminds us that child safety is also about giving the next generation that kind of freedom and possibility, and not only just protecting from harm, but actually doing so much more. So thank you to the family for inviting me, and it's very nice to see you all today.
Thank you. Thanks, Sudhir. Very nice.
Thank you, Sudhir. I think you've set a lot of expectations from us as a foundation, and I hope we can live up to some of it. Definitely something for us to think about, and as we move forward with the foundation. Thank you very much. Okay, Ghanshyam. Now
You're going to play
Now
the
we'll play the trailer of the oral history. Hopefully things will get a bit lighter now. So play the trailer and then play one more violin recital.
Okay, right now I'll wait for him to.
Yeah. Hanggang on September maninkana. On September maninkana.
ಅದೆಲ್ಲ ರೆಕಾರ್ಡ್
I think, yeah.
Today is what?
June 6th.
6th June 2012. I would like to share with you some of my memories of the freedom movement. I became aware of the freedom movement only after my father moved to Nellore from Vijayanagar in 1928. We used to live in a house very close to the Maidan where all Congress meetings were being held. So we had a sort of a gallery view of what was happening there. And after the salt satyagraha, the freedom movement quieted a lot. But I can tell you one thing, Gandhiji carried out the freedom movement in spurts. He never did it in a very continuous fashion. And we had the 42 movement. By then there was no 42 movement there. But this is what I remember very well. Under the table, the three of us, young men, youth. I was about 17 then. They were 19 and 21, something like that. We talked about whether we will see independence in our lifetime. But within 5 years, we were independent. So it came to us very fast, in a very surprising way. And I am sure it had something to do with the Second World War. It exhausted all these fellows. Firstly, I would say, as a matter of fact, I will recall an incident around 1970s. You know Dr. A.K. Rao? His son came to me from Bangalore for some work in Delhi. He stayed with me. And he told me, Uncle, there has been no progress in India in the last 30 years. We have been independent now for 30 years. There is no progress. So I asked him to stand up. I said, do you have your shirt on you, a pant on you? Where did you get that cloth from? He said, India. When you have a pen in your pocket, where did you get it from? India. Watch, India. Glasses, India. How did you travel by train? Where was it made? Perambu. I said, you only go back another 40 years ago. Everything I used to get from Africa. I used to get pencils from Bavaria. You know where Bavaria is? Germany. There have been tremendous improvements. As I have been saying, telling a lot of people. Although I complain that we have not progressed as much as I hope we will, there has been very great progress.
Yeah, so so it's my pleasant duty to propose a vote of thanks on behalf of my brothers Giri and Gopi and myself. We thank Dr. Raja Garu, Dr. Raghavan Garu, Professor Shanta Sinha, Dr. S.S. Murthy Garu, Venkat Reddy Garu, who readily accepted our invitation to share their memories and thoughts about our father. We thank Professor Sudhir for taking time out, he's a very busy man, out of his busy schedule and readily accepting our invitation and delivering an exceptionally thought-provoking lecture, which sets a platform for future talks and also for the work to be done by the foundation. We thank for being with us, guiding us, and for the generous donation to start the activities of the foundation. This event is also dedicated to the memory of our eldest brother Gautam, who tragically left us 10 years back, almost to the day. His presence is dearly missed. We thank the advisory committee members, Heramba, Yogi, Vidyanath, Srilata, Ranga, Nihar, Gaurav, and Raghav, for their proactive role in the activities of the foundation. Last but not the least, we thank all friends, family members, colleagues, and other well-wishers who graced the occasion and made it a truly memorable event. Thank you. The formal part of the event concludes now, and we invite others, especially family members, who would like to share their memories about our father to speak now. Of course, we can understand if others need to log off now. It's a Sunday evening, so thank you. I hand over to Giri now to moderate
Yeah, I believe there were some colleagues of Appa who wanted to speak. So I didn't get the name, but if they want, we can go with them first. Yeah.
On the
Gopi.
phone here, it says Realme Narzo 50i Prime. So I don't know who that is. Whoever that might be, please take your turn to speak now. Do I see him?
Yeah, he's here.
Yeah.
You are muted actually. So
You're on mute.
we'll come back to you later then.
You can go to the bottom left of the screen and click on the audio.
If he's on the computer, he's on the phone, so I don't know what he's seeing.
Chika, we'll go to the next. Anyone else would like to speak?
Yeah, we can start. Venkatesh Mama, do you want to say something?
He's unmuted himself, I think.
Yeah, he's unmuted. Okay. Yeah, please go ahead, sir.
Yeah. Take a Venkatesh Mama.
Hello. Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Hello.
We can hear you. Sir, we can hear you.
Hello. Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you.
I am B.L. Narasimha Rao. 1962, and he was in DLRL, and his association is so wonderful. He gave total liberty in planning the work, executing it, developing it, and all those things. And it was so wonderful. Every day, he said we should have a new idea. And the new idea means how to go about the new idea was our problem. And then when he go in his car, and he was just encouraging, Rao, what is the new idea of today, like that? So every time he was thinking of new ideas, and it was so encouraging, and he was never objecting to any of the thoughts or diverting in a different direction, but always forward with the approach. It was so wonderful. And I remember even now, though I'm 92-year-old now, and we started remembering from I think 45 or something like that, when he was in the Andhra University, did his doctorate degree and all those things. So, and he was so associated with Professor Bhagavantam also, and that way he was totally involved with Bhagavantam, and that was also a great gift to us. And when we went to his house, he gave us the excellent coffee, etc. And when he made me the chairman of the canteen lunch group, he was so directive, and he was remembering his brother, Sri Anandam Garu also, and it was giving how to take a decision when conflicting opinions are there. So like that, it was such a wonderful time, and he remained at the top. And once I met him in the CCR in the office also, he was so directing what are the current developments, etc. So he always keep abreast. And when he were thinking, he did on the radio telescopy, rocket instrumentation, etc. And we thought, what is radio telescopy was a new thing. We never heard of it. So all new things come to him. And you see, it was such a wonderful association. I regard it so much and still remember him. Though I'm 92, you see, I continuously remember him and keep my as the pioneering scientist to follow and further develop new things. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Giri, unmute. Venkatesh Mama, you want to go?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
We can hear you.
My association with him is more than 90 years. So it's very difficult to talk about him without much notice. But I know one thing he made me do was not to be afraid of mathematics. I joined the first form after the 6th class after passing the 3rd class. And I'll be constantly being beaten by the teachers. And the teacher, and in that summer, when I went to Voltaire, he told me that there's nothing to be afraid of mathematics. He asked me, Medadunda. I said, have brains. Then he said, if you use your brain, there won't be any problem in mathematics. And that's so from that day onwards, he taught me to think for myself about, and then I can tell you I was never afraid of that subject and it all through my life. As somebody is always mentioning his interest in his staff, I can't forget, because every time I went to Delhi, there will be 6 or 7 people, mothers, with their children. You ask me to take the proper treatment or not. And I told medical sciences, but why do you want me to see? He said, no, you best have a look and tell me that they are being looked after well. The treatment is all right. That was his interest.
in his staff. And about the secrecy of his work, much later, during his retirement, one day I asked him, why can't you talk something about it? He told me it is supposed to be confidential. I said, Chappavai koncham. He said, koncham ledu, gincham ledu. Chappakudu ante confidential ante confidential. Don't ask me about it, he said. That's what I used to be afraid, wondering what secret work he has done so that we can't even talk about it 20 years after his retirement. But then I knew what it is to be true to his work. It's supposed to be confidential, and it remained confidential all through his life. Of course, his affection towards his younger cousins and people like me, I can't describe. As Shanta was saying, every time I went to his house, there will be a huge discussion and used to shout at each other. But we knew he will never change, and I also would not change. He never expected us to change, but only to express our views about the current politics. As he said, he used to get very angry if anybody said there is no improvement. He said there's no progress. He used to make it a big point, always. The incident which he remarked about in his oral history, he told me a number of times. That afterwards, once in a way, if I complained that something can be better, you said things can always be better. Therefore, please don't think that things cannot be better, but be happy that something good is happening and don't be pessimistic. That was his message to me all his life, to look positively and look at others also in a critical manner, but not to make judgments unnecessarily. That is what I learned from him. And he was very close to me. And I miss him every day. That's all I want to say.
Thank you. Thank you, Ritesh Mama. I think Kichami Mama, you wanted to say something.
Yeah, sure. Let's see. Everyone has spoken of Dr. K's brilliant academic career and professional stature. Shanta has covered his personal qualities, the warmth, humility, and strength that defined him. I was the second person in the family to take up electronics after him, but I never sought his advice as I was scared of exposing myself. His knowledge on the subject was immeasurable. So I just went on. But he appreciated when his nephews and children took up his line of profession. To how many people he has really guided, I'm not aware of it. But yet he never imposed himself on anyone. He simply encouraged them, quietly appreciating their efforts. Beyond his professional brilliance, of course, he was a very good violinist. Here again, I wish he had encouraged some people to take up music, whether it's violin or other things. But somehow I think that music thing was not very appreciated, the learning part, until the next generation came and you had a series of people, the third generation. But the next generation somehow were not encouraged to take up music. Maybe it could be financial reasons, it could be career, it could be anything. He was a generous in thoughtful ways. When some of the nephews turned 14, he made sure each nephew had a bicycle. Perhaps he was a little partial to his brother's children. But we never minded it because we saw him as a visionary focused on higher goals.
for us, he was an uncle, he was a brother-in-law. Very good man. Wherever he lived, his home was always open. He was the most gracious host, even making beds for guests and tucking them up in the cold winters. Not many did this. Even he was one of the persons who did it as a routine to all the guests. He welcomed everyone, no matter how many came or how long did they stay. Trips to hill stations, Kashmir, Ladakh, were some of the things he did for the visitors. He was at heart a true nationalist, with a strong sense of belonging and pride in being an Andhraite. Whenever you talk about Andhra, Tamil Nadu, Hindi belt, he would say, "Mana vallu Andhra vallu, valakanta anta dhairyan ledu, valaki pushe ledu." So he would make sure that if there was a position somewhere, he would first, even though he wasn't partial, but he would make sure that Andhrites, if they qualified, they should get the job. So he was quite a person encouraging the Andhra people to take good positions in life, which I really appreciated because not many people did that. And then he, of course, has deep connections to the country. Everybody has spoken about. Now, after him, I'm still looking at how many of us, now we are a big community, and how many of us have taken up jobs like that and sincerely worked like him, not expecting big salaries, but it's a kind of work. Of course, MV Foundation is doing a lot. I really do, but at the scientific level, of course, we have Ghanshyam now as a professor, as the head of the department. He's taken up that. So I wish this kind of a feeling for the nation should come to many of us. Because if we are quite smart, we are intelligent, and if we don't do it, who else will do it? And then if you see his photographs, he stands tall and majestic, always smiling. With his strong personality, he could have been a statesman or a CEO of a big multinational company. Yet, he chose a simple life, lived with integrity and humility. He and Lakshmi shared nearly 7 decades of harmony and happiness, a true partnership without arguments or differences. His strong work ethics is reflected in all the 4 children, but his personality traits and leadership qualities, none acquired at the same level. But it's true, if he walks into a room, you see there's an imposing, you see a person with some good personality and traits which we all admire. We don't have such people anymore. In his 90s, he became the Bhishma of our family. We sought his blessings at every milestone. His children and extended family surrounded him with love and care, and he was truly fortunate in that. His 90s were really blessed. We will always remember him as more than a distinguished professional. To us, he was a brother-in-law, an uncle, and a guiding elder. Someone who lived life in his own terms with simplicity, dignity, and affection. Thank you, Dr. K, for leaving us with such lasting memories and inspiration. Thank you.
Thank you, Pichanga Mama. Rajendra Mama, Krishnamurthi, do you want to say something? Krishnamurthi? Rajendra Mama.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hey, now I will talk 2 sentences.
Ah.
I was my experience about Krishnamurti Mama, whole of my academic life is guided by him. Because when I did my engineering, I got so low a mark. Thanks to him, with his influence, I could get mechanical engineering branch. Afterwards, when I came out, I was in search of a job. Then I went to Delhi. Then he banged me saying that with your marks, you won't get a job. You go and do post-graduation. I did my post-graduation. And then I wanted to go abroad. He said, you first get a job. Don't think of going abroad. First, you establish yourself. If you want, you can join a job and then go abroad, improve your qualification and come back and once again study in this country. I mean, you have to be Swadeshi. Apart from all that, I remember one incident. I was commissioning one microhydel project in one place known as Tooting. That is about 40 kilometers from Chinese border. And there was no road also there. And we had to go only by helicopter or by foot march. So on the day of inauguration, the chief minister was there, and then the local MP was there. All of us were sitting there. Suddenly, one fellow came from behind. Actually, I was of the opinion that I would be the first man from our family to visit such remote places in Himalayas. Suddenly, one person came from behind and asked me, "Are you related to Dr. K?" Then I was shocked. How do? And then I said, he is my uncle. Then he was saying, you resemble him so much. I wanted to ask you whether you are related to Dr. K. Then I asked him, how do you know Dr. K? Then he showed one peak nearby where he said, I am working there. And this is the peak which Dr. K has, the monitoring station is there on the Chinese border. And Dr. K established this monitoring station. Then from then onwards, I stopped telling people that I worked in a remote place like Arunachal Pradesh. We already did so much of work in the border that there is no point in telling somebody that I am the first man to do that. So this is and apart from, I had so many discussions with Krishnamurti Mama, which I can't, narrate. And all my knowledge about government and all that is what I learned from him. And he was in charge of some ARC airports like Charbatia, Dumduma and all that, which CPWD was maintaining, the department in which I worked was maintaining. So I knew the work which he was carrying out. At times I used to go to Palam Airport to driving the car to receive him, and he had a special plane in which he traveled from Assam back to Delhi. So I knew the work which he was doing. But anyway, I mean, I'm very he is more or less a guru for me, who guided me academically and did a lot of work, original work. Whatever has been said today, I'm very happy that I knew it some 30, 40 years back. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mama.
Thank you, Mama. Krishnamurti?
I don't know anything about Krishnamurti Mama's service and what he did in government service. When I wanted to go to Saudi Arabia, all my friends were going. So I too thought I will also go there. And he was so much against it. He said, I can't leave the country and go there. And he prevented me from even applying for a passport. And then I owe my family life to him because I didn't go there, stay at home and look after my children and my husband, and I had a very good family life. The next thing is after he retired and he settled in Hyderabad, he would call me for any small medical problems. And I would say, it will go away. It's nothing serious. It's simple. And then later on, because of his age and all problems seemed to be very serious to me. And I would ask him to consult some other doctor. Then he would say, why are you always saying go to this specialist, go to that specialist? Why can't you treat? And then I would try to give some medicines, but still he was not at all happy that I was referring him to some other specialist. And then we used to go to see him in the morning, because that is the only time I can go and I can visit him. And at that time he would go to MBF office. So one day, whenever I want to come and see you, you are going to MBF office. He said, why, if you tell me when you are coming, I'll wait for you. And it was so unimaginable that such an important person like Krishnamurthi Mama waiting for me to go to his house and see him. That is how he treated everybody. Important, made them feel very important. And then he would show me the articles he wrote, and then give me some books to read. And then he would tell me about the politics. I was so ignorant of all the politics. And he would explain to me patiently and all the political nuances. And somehow I had a very educating type of visits with him. So I miss him now. When I go to Hyderabad, he would be the first person to visit. And nowadays, he's not there, and Lakshmi is not there. I feel very lost, because we lost the eldest member of the family. It is amazing how he looked after Nandita. And I wish Nandita also would say one or two words about Krishnamurti Mama. Thank you, Giri and Gopi, for arranging this and for giving me an opportunity to talk about K Mama.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay,
Giri,
Nandita,
can I
you want to say
something?
something?
Giri?
Yeah, of course. Please go ahead.
Right now?
Yeah.
Okay, not much. I just wanted to say, I realized what a patriot my uncle was, because when I got a seat in All India Institute long time ago, and I was there for a month and decided to go to the United States, he was very, very upset and very angry that I would do such a foolish thing. He said that he tried to discourage me, and I'll never forget that, because he said, your first duty comes to your country. You shouldn't be going to United States. And I still remember that. Not that I was not, I was glad I did leave, because it let me help all my family by going to United States. But still, I'll still remember what he said to me. That was the most unpatriotic thing that I did. So anyway, but he did spend some time with me in New York when he did, and had a lovely time. And I'm very happy for that. And he also spent some time with Lakshmi in Dallas with me. And so those were also good memories. So anyway, he's still in my mind. And Lakshmi, I know you are very lucky to have him. So, and the kids too. You all must be very proud of him. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I go, Giri?
Yeah, Ravi.
Sorry, I'm walking and my battery is dying now. So yeah, really fond of Krishnamurthi Mama, one of my favorite uncles. He helped me a lot. I don't know, I spent some time in Bhopal in 82 and I was going through a very tough time because the TCS folks were really pushing me hard. And he found out that I was struggling. So he contacted the TCS some top-notch guy in TCS and said, lay off Ravi, just lay off from him. Because it was to the point that it was very depressing in Bhopal, and then he helped me out. After that, things got much better. So I think that I really remember that part. I didn't know he had so many contacts that spread throughout, even in Madhya Pradesh. So it was nice to see that some family member came to help me out. And I don't want to go into details of what happened, but yeah, I do remember. He was always very helpful to me. Both Lakshmi and Krishnamurthi Mama, they treated me like their own whenever we went to Delhi. Giri, Gopi, Ghanshyam, Gautam, we had some very nice times. He arranged everything for us on a trip to Kashmir. So that was a wonderful thing for us. Yeah, I'm very happy that you're commemorating his 100th. It's a very nice event. I listened to all the speeches and they were wonderful. Thank you, Giri, Gopi, Ghanshyam, and of course, Lakshmi. Thank you.
Thanks, Ravi. Okay, Vikram.
Hi, sorry, I was joined in pretty late. I'm in London, but joined in late. I just wanted to say 3 or 4 things. Everyone has spoken about is patriotism. So I will first say what about his patriotism and my life. So when I left Indian Institute of Science and joined CA, one day he asked me, "Why did you do that? Because you should have continued that." I said, "Somehow that doesn't excite me as much, and I should do CA." Then he told me, "I don't know how well you will do, but whatever you do, please work in this country. Don't leave this country." I think this is the same advice he gave to so many others. He also gave it to me. But I will start when sometime in 12th class, when I did very well in the exam, he gave me a pen. Nobody gave me anything at that time, but he gave me a pen. Then in BSc, I clearly remember of course, he was quite I'm sure, a towering personality in the physics department. So we had the BSc final physics practicals class, exam. And then this professor comes to me and he started talking to me, asking the first question. Then I could clearly hear, in those days I could hear very well. I could clearly hear the other professor telling this, and he is Krishnamurthi Garine, Alludaya, Entaina Adagatsu. And then this man asked the other man, "Oh, Auna, ne chuptan kada tarvata nakela telso, nuvan adugu." And every student had a 2 to 3 minute session. I had a half an hour session. They really grilled me to hell because I am Krishnamurti. I mean, I have no doubt, I had no doubt then, I have no doubt now, that he somehow must have told somebody in the physics department that my nephew is there in BSc. Then when I did very well in CA, he gave me a briefcase. That briefcase had a number lock. And he said, "This for you." I've been, sorry, I should not forget this. In intermediate, in BSc when I was studying, he made sure that Naga gave me Feynman's lectures in physics. And Naga asked me, "நீ எது சொன்ன சித்தப்பாக்கா ஒரு ஃபென்மன் லெக்சர்ஸ்க்கு நான் ஒன்றும் சொல்லவே இல்லை அப்படின்னு." Then, so those 3 volumes of Feynman's lecture in physics, Naga sent to me from Delhi because Krishnamurti Chittappa told him. And for what little I could understand in those days, I did fairly well in physics. He was deeply disappointed when I didn't take up the MSc physics seats in IIT Kanpur. And when I came back, then he asked me, "Did you get a seat?" I said, "Yes." Then he said, "Then go join." I said, No, I'm not interested in MSc physics." He was very, very disappointed. But he was very happy I joined Indian Science. But when I left again, he was disappointed. But my greatest privilege is that I was the treasurer signing, I would have signed at least about 50,000 checks next to his signature. And the number of notes he wrote to me is, innumerable. Unfortunately, I did not keep any record of that. But I could see that his sense of duty and his affection for the people who worked for him. He really took care of the people who work for him. And throughout the underlying theme that we should work with the government. We can't run away from the government because the government is treating us badly. We should work with the government. I don't think we were very successful in that, but he persisted. And for me, that is a lasting memory I have of him, that in about a year or two before he passed away, he gave me a very long lecture on why we should continue working with the government and why we're not working hard enough to make sure that government is part of the excellent work which the foundation is doing. Today, I'm very touched and proud that I'm his successor in the foundation, and I'm sure that his guiding spirit is what gives us inspiration that so much can be done in this country, and we're very fortunate to have an uncle like him. Thank you.
Okay, Martina wants to go. After that, Vidyanath.
Yeah, so hi, it's a small, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay, this is just to have a very short impression of Krishnamurti, because the time I was in MV Foundation, that is so many years back, but I think around 4 years I was there, maybe little less than that. But what I first want to tell all of you here, how much I appreciate how you keep the memory alive of the intelligence, the love of the people in your family, how you appreciate another human being in your family with such love. I really admire that. I miss that a lot here in the Netherlands. We do not have such type of culture that you honor and remember the work and the person somebody was in his life. I think that is absolutely great. What I remember of Krishnamurti is that he was always willing to explain with patience and about the Indian constitution, about the Indian politics, about the Indian life, because I came from another country, but he was always willing to educate and to help me understand. And also his stand on, which I also remember very well, on what also Vikram said, that the government is so crucial to make use of your own institutions to build and keep going the country. You can't you can't go against it, actually. You have to work with it. He told me that millions of times. And I thought that was also great. And I was his neighbor, of course, living with Rajam Sinha next to his house. And with Nandita and Lakshmi, we had so much fun. I think I had a lot of insight in his day-to-day life, how he was sitting in the house and reading a newspaper and always welcoming people. And he took time. And that I thought was brilliant. And so I don't know who of you told about the presence in that room, in the office of the MV Foundation. That was a great observation, because actually we with the staff, we were sometimes a little bit reluctant to go into that room, because all of us knew that if you sit there, you could not escape all his ideas, and you had to sit there. And it's not that it was compulsory, but that I also remember very strong. So that presence that was a good observation. And true that the years when I came back to MV Foundation and came in that room, I still could feel his presence there. And I think that also has to do with his discipline. He was so disciplined and so calm, and you could never make an observation that he did something. What can I say? The routine was always there, which I also admired. So this is my small observation, and love to Lakshmi as well, and Nandita and all of you. That was all I want to say.
Thank you. Vidyanath?
Can Nandita say something?
Sorry, I'll just quickly finish. I just wanted to relate an incident which I never shared with anybody till date. And this was something that happened when I got married. About 5 or 6 months later, he visited Bombay. And we were not aware that he's coming. And at that time, Aparna had a small accident and she had an eye surgery, minor surgery. And I was in the hospital close to my house in Bandra. And I was in the room with Aparna, and suddenly Krishna Chittappa comes to that hospital. I was pleasantly surprised, so was Aparna. And first reaction of Aparna was, why did you tell him about this? It's such a minor thing. I said, I didn't even know he's coming. Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about also. I don't know who gave him this information also. He just came. So Chittappa said, first thing I asked Chittappa, how come here? How did you know I'm here? So he said, no, I have my own sources of information. So I started laughing anyway. I'm so happy to see you, Chittappa. And then he had a chat with Aparna for almost about 15-20 minutes because she was studying at this, so they had a lot of things in common to discuss. And then he left us and went back. He said, once you are back, I'll come and revisit you all. But unfortunately, we also moved out of Bombay, so that didn't happen. But much later, after he retired, I used to visit Hyderabad frequently only to spend time with Chittappa. I had a great equation going with him at a different level. Fortunately for me, not the intellectual type of conversations, but most of my conversations were very much on the lighter side of life, and we would discuss politics a lot. And the other thing is we would also discuss movies. And one of those occasions, I was at your house in Hyderabad and he was watching news. So I said, Em Chittappa, boring on the Eppudu Chudu news, and that too you're all the time listening to only Telugu news. Can we watch something else? So he said, what can be more interesting than this? I said, no, there is Zee screening Sholay movie I would like to watch. So he said, oh, you want to watch Sholay? He said, yeah, he gave me the remote. And then I started watching Sholay with him. So I asked him, do you remember this movie at all? He said, of course, I remember. And he also said, I remember that incident where you asked me in Bombay, how come I came to know about Aparna being in the hospital. He said, Jasus sab jagah hai. So I just wanted to narrate this incident before you all end this program. Thank you. Thank you very much.
I think Nandita wants to go now.
Yeah.
Unmute.
So, I worked in MBF. I started working in MBF from 2007 to 2021 until he passed away. So I did lots of data entries. Shantatta would agree with me on that. So Shantatta would agree with me on that. Even Venkat Reddy sir would agree with me on that. So it was good to see his other side of what he was literally in personal life to me. office, daily coming to office, making sure his checks are signed. Everybody used to ask me because I was the first one to go inside the office first, and later on he used to enter. If he doesn't enter, Naren sir would come and ask me whether he's coming to office or not. I said, I don't know. I need to ring up my grandmother to check it out, check him, check at him, and let you know. If he doesn't want to come, immediately send for signing checks and everything. But in literal language, basically it is I worked for 13 years, and in that 13 years, Tata never was forcing me when I was unwell or not wanting to do any work. He said, rest. So it's like, yeah, and it's good to have all of you celebrating Tata's 100th birthday, and yeah.
Thank you, Nandita.
Yeah.
Who wants to go next? Kiri, you're muted.
Nihar wanted to say.
Oh, Nihar.
Nihar is there?
Hi, am I visible and audible?
Yeah.
Okay, I think everyone's covered everything about Tata, so I'll just share this one incident that stayed with me for a very long time. So this happened in class 6. I was like on my way back from school. So the bus stop to Tata's house was good 500-meter walk, and that very day it was a hot summer, and the bus was late by half an hour. So I was frustrated, of course, because of the hot summer and carrying the heavy school bag, and I was walking across the dead empty street in the hot afternoon of Hyderabad. And there's one car constantly honking behind. And for some reason, I decided I'll pick up a stone and give the person a piece of my mind. I take the stone, turn around, and I see it's Tata driving the car. Okay, interesting. Interesting turn of events. I sit in the car, there's awkward silence of good 40 seconds, and then we enter the home. Tata's like, Eda, Rai at the car or EML adikano in the like bus லேட்டா வந்தது எனக்கு பசி எடுத்துக்கின்றது எது பண்றது தெரியல. Like, okay. Then I realized it was his sleeping time. He normally naps from 2:30 to 4:30 in the afternoon, which is a universally known fact. And I'm like, how come you're awake here at this time? And he was, you are not home and having lunch, so what do you expect? I'm like, okay. I have my lunch and then he sleeps, wakes up, and then he gives me a huge handwritten letter in a A4 sheet, wraps it in an envelope. I remember that to this day. Wraps it in an envelope, writes on the envelope to the principal, DAV Public School, Safilguda, and he's like, give this to your principal. Like, you what? And okay, fine. I went next day, knowing Tata how he was in terms of following up. I like, okay, fine. Let's not play with fire. I went, gave it to my vice principal instead of principal, because principal that day didn't show up. And the vice principal is like, your grandfather wrote this letter? I'm like, yes, what is so hard to believe in? How old is your grandfather? I'm like, 78. And like, there is no striking mark, nothing. How can someone write so flawlessly? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. To this day, I never had an answer to that question. But anyways, the outcome of that was, from that point till the time I was in DAV, my bus at least wasn't late ever. So yeah, that's it. That's my story. Yeah.
Thanks, Nihar. Gaurav.
Hi everyone. Don't usually talk at these things, but I'd like to speak on Tata as well.
You have to speak up.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Is this better?
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't usually speak at these things, but I think I really want to talk about Tata. I'm just going to speak from what I have learned and been influenced by from Tata. I think I can speak for Raghav as well because we've had similar experiences growing up. I would meet Tata only during the summer vacation. Either he would come to Bangalore or I would go to Hyderabad, and it was usually a month of living together every year, and obviously Nainma and Nandita. I think certain observations that I have picked up, or like I think that have really affected me and Raghav, especially is like as Vikram Peripa pointed out, is his patriotism, but not in the sense of instilling it every day. But I think the work that we do now, Raghav and I both do, comes from a deep-rooted feeling of wanting to give back to the place we're from, not necessarily India, but like with Bangalore and how we see Bangalore as our home. And I think a lot of it has come from Tata constantly driving it into our heads that we need to do something to build and help progress things from your home. So I've had very intimate, I want to say, conversations and very incidences that have really influenced me every summer that I was with him. I always feared him, I think. I always was scared of him because he seemed like he was a flawless man who could do no wrong. I was scared of his voice in many ways. But I think some of that changed later on when I did this oral history documentation with Vagish Party with him. He expressed himself in a way that I had not previously experienced. He's actually a very vulnerable man as well. And he talked very fondly of Nainama and about how he wished, he was very thankful and grateful to Nainama for taking care of Singopi Chitapa, Gancham Chitapa, Gautam Paripa, and my dad whenever he wasn't around, and he wished he had spent more time with them, and he got very emotional about that. He also, there was also a period when I was shooting in Hyderabad. I happened to be working out of Hyderabad for a short while, and he felt very ill. I can't remember what exactly happened, but he was in the hospital for a bit, and then I stopped doing the shoot and I decided to take care of him. Gancham Chitapa asked me to take care of him for a bit. And again, he was a very different man to me then. He was a very vulnerable man. He talked to me about his fear of being sick. And it really taught me a lot as well to be vulnerable, as well to be more sensitive and to be more for me to realize that there is this other side to him where he has his own worries and fears was very important for my, I think, growth back then. And I feel like I've really taken that. I constantly think about it, and I think about who he was, aside from the person we all know. I will also just say that I was surprised to know much later that he had a video camera, and I feel like that's the one thing I may have in some way inherited. I'm not an engineer. I'm not a scientist, but maybe in some ways what my dad did when I was growing up and what my granddad did has rubbed off on me as a filmmaker as well. So yeah, I'm entirely indebted to him for all the conversations I had with him growing up. Yeah.
Thanks, Gaurav.
Thanks, Gaurav. Anybody else?
I can go if nobody else. I have just two specific incidents I might have narrated to everyone here. One was in 97 when I just moved to the US. I was new here, just about 4 weeks in, and I was staying with Priyam. Appa and Amma visited us from London. They spent, I think, 3 months with Gansham, and they came over to US. So I was new here. So anyway, Kamish and I decided we will take them to Washington, D.C. And then I think we were on a tour bus in DC, and we just went past, we were going past the CIA headquarters, and I told Appa, this is the CIA headquarters. I saw a board somewhere there, and I said, and then he turns around and tells me, who are you to tell me that this is the CIA headquarters? I'm the first Indian to have gone into that building. I know more about this building than you do. So that has stayed with me pretty much all my life. I mean, he knew so much, but he would never expose himself at all. The other thing I also fondly remember about him, and which I try and follow, is his discipline for food. he would eat exactly at the same time every day. And all of us know that he spends a lot of time eating. That's one thing I don't do, but I try and maintain the discipline that I have my breakfast, my lunch, my evening tea and dinner at exactly the same time every day. I think that keeps everybody very healthy. I mean, he never exercised, he never did any walking, but in spite of that, remarkably, he had a very healthy life, which is very strange to me, because I do go to the gym, I do all of that, and I still don't feel half as strong as he was through his life. Those are two things I just wanted to say there. Yeah.
Thanks, Gopi. Okay, anyone else? So then, if no one else is there, then let's. Okay. Okay, Ananta is insisting that I
Giri, I
speak.
just have one more.
Yeah.
One more comment.
No, let me speak. Then I'll. Okay. So basically, after we got married, Amma and Appa used to come to Bangalore every summer, and we used to really enjoy the time we had with them. And some of the things which was new to maybe Ananta and definitely to me was how strict they were about the food. I mean, everything had to be just right. And both of them would never say anything if everything was right. But both of them would always point out if something was wrong. Something which I think Ananta never understood. I think all in the family are like that. When something is good, something is going well, we never say a word. But if something is not up to our expectations or whatever, we immediately point it out, right? So for Ananta especially, that was something absolutely new. And I knew about it. I mean, always subconsciously, I knew that was the case, but I could never explain that to her. And it took a long time for us to get used to the idea that if they don't say anything, that means things are just fine. Both Amma and Appa, if they keep quiet, it means things are just fine. Otherwise, if they say something is not the way it is supposed to be, then you knew you were in trouble. So that was one thing. Second thing was about his professional life. Whenever he came to Bangalore, he made a point to meet a couple of people. One was Dr. Arunachalam, and the other one was Dr. Raja Ramana, who had both retired in Bangalore. So there was this time when I went, and I used to go with him to both whenever he met these people. So there was this time when I went and with him to meet Dr. Raja Ramana. So Raja Ramana turned to me and said, "Do you know who this man is?" So I said, "I don't know. I mean, what do you mean? He's my father." So he says, "No, he almost spoiled my reputation." So I said, "What happened?" So he said, "You remember that 1973 Pokhran explosion?" And I think Dr. Raghavan said that same story. He said, we had a code word, and I was supposed to go and tell Indira Gandhi that the Buddha is smiling when that explosion happens. So when I went to Indira Gandhi and told her that, she said, "I already know." And then he was angry. He was really angry. And he wanted to find out how she came to know before Ramana gave her the good news. So he did his investigation and he said, "I found out who that man was. That was your father." And I said, "I want to take him with me wherever I go." So that's why when I became SA. My first job was to get him out of ARC and get him into DRDO. So he told me this story, and now Dr. Raghavan also has confirmed it. So as that was one of the stories which stayed with me, and I really enjoyed the story. And I also got surprised to hear somebody like Dr. Ramana admit that someone had beaten him to it. So that's a great story I'll always remember. The other one I remember is there is this book called Spies in the Himalaya. I once read it many years ago when it first came out, and I told Appa, there is a Dr. K mentioned in this book, and that Dr. K comes multiple times. Is that you? He got very angry. He said, who's this guy who's written this book? And he has no business disclosing this information. But he never accepted or denied that it was him. So many years later, I told Nihar also about this. And I think Nihar read that book recently, and he also found out Dr. K was there in that book. But it's very interesting. So bits and pieces like this, you get to know what Appa was actually doing. Not directly from him ever, but from other people who probably don't have that same sense of duty, or they
No,
don't
it
care.
is, sorry, it is said that there are many papers which he ordered should be destroyed after he passed away, something like that. Not to,
Gopi destroyed most of them, I think.
Yeah. I actually, if you remember, outside Jairam's
Yeah.
lawn, I actually set fire to all of those papers. There's so many of them. There are almost about 4, 5, 6 boxes of papers that I just destroyed completely. Yeah.
I'm always disappointed.
Yeah, I'm also. I would have loved to.
You have to read those things.
Yeah.
And knowing ourselves, quickly reveal what was in that. Well, he didn't reveal for 60 years.
I also told Gopi we should destroy in honor of.
Oh, is it?
Krishnamurthi Chittappa wanted it so we can't betray him.
No, it's a piece of history. And
Never mind, he never wanted it to be so.
Okay.
Okay, good.
Jairam, you want to say anything?
Yeah, Jairam spent the most amount of time with Appa.
Yeah, he looked after them so well.
Yeah.
And Shanta too, of course.
Shanta, of course. Yeah. Yeah. Where is Jairam?
Jairam will only talk about the electricity bill, I think.
And water bill.
No. We spoke a lot, me and Jairam today, and very fondly about Krishnamurthi Chittappa. I don't know where he is, but we had several things to share, and we had good laughter also.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks for joining.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, you can now watch the highlights of Pakistan match.
Oh, match over?
90 for
Pakistan is some 7 or 8 wickets down for some 80 runs.
90 for 7.
Oh,
Okay.
90.
Okay.
Okay.
See
Thank
you.
you.
Bye. Good night.
Bye. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
I don't know, how do I go back?
ಅಮ್ಮ அந்த ಹೆಡ್ಫೋನ್ ಇಟ್ಬಿಡು ಬರಲ್ಲ.
Acha Gansham.
Yeah, good.
Good celebration.